There are two kinds of people in this world. Those who will do anything for money. And those who will do almost anything for money.
The cameraman who was hurt at the game today? Yes. Well, this may be of some interest to you. I'm suing CBS, the Cleveland Browns, and a municipal stadium for $1 million. How many me do you see?
One cheap, chiseling, shyster lawyer.
In our opinion, Mr. Baldwin chose to play Russian roulette when he fired a gun without checking it and without having the armorer do so in his presence. His behavior and that of the producers on Rust was reckless.
Well, I think I mixed up a couple pieces of footage.
I didn't expect that coming.
Was there an implication in that? I don't know.
Wow. You know, it's so funny. That's the Fortune Cookie, Billy Wilder's film, 1966, with Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau. And for some reason in England, it's called Willie Whiplash. I don't know why, but Walter Matthau plays this amazing ambulance chaser who Jack Lemmon, I think, is his brother-in-law, and forces himself on him to sue CBS News and the NFL and everybody else for millions of dollars, and fakes or extends the injury of Jack Lemmon in front of doctors and everyone else to try to get the money. And Jack Lemmon really doesn't want to do it, but Walter Matthau insists that he participate in this ambulance chasing fraud.
Well, perfect. And so we have the most famous attorney in America. I don't want to mix the terms up, but Gloria Allred, who seems to come out anytime anything happens with a celebrity or anything else, coincidentally.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is the second lawsuit. The first one is the camera, not camera guy, the head electrician or gaffer.
Gaffer, yeah.
I forgot the term for it. I was listening to some footage of him earlier. He's pretty hard to understand. Look at that.
And we got the lawsuit right here.
Yep. Yeah, the I hadn't pulled any footage of him. I've got a little bit of footage from the script supervisor, and we're definitely going to talk about that because, well, obviously it's a traumatic situation. There may be a couple issues with the suit. You know, we definitely want to cover it, and I think you provided a surprise for us too, right?
Later in the show.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, later in the show.
First, let's talk about Alec's been in the news, and right. On Mark Maron, George Clooney came out, and he was talking about Alec Baldwin and the incident with Mark Maron, and that was actually recorded about 2.5 weeks prior. So his interview was like around the 2nd or 3rd of November, somewhere in there, and he was talking a little bit about gun discipline, and George Clooney has handled a couple revolvers himself.
Mm-hmm.
That's From Dusk Till Dawn. Anybody who's a Robert Rodriguez fan, by the way, a shout out to Rebel Without a Crew, one of my favorite books on Hollywood. And George kind of substantiated a lot of what you've been telling me. Do you want to go into that?
Oh, right. Yeah, George, you know, in this interview with Mark Maron, which is right over here by me in Maron's garage in Silver Lake, I guess he's directing a film that's coming out called The Tender Bar. George Clooney is. So he was promoting the film. But he said thank you, Bomb. He said that he's never heard the term cold gun in his life, which is what I said to you in episode 1. Mm-hmm. I've never heard that. And also something I said in episode 1 or 2, that the gun comes from the armorer or the property master, which is what George Clooney said. Also what I indicated early on, Clooney is also one of the set of A-list actors who insists on shooting the gun and testing and opening up the gun. As I indicated, there's some guys who do and some guys who don't. He takes a revolver, if it is a revolver, and shoots it 6 times into the ground to make sure it's cleared. And he also inspects the gun with the person who hands it to him on each event.
And Clooney said that not everyone did that too.
Which is what I said, which was what I said in episode 2, which is what I learned, from various A-list stars. Some do, some don't. Some trust the person who gives it to them.
Well, and in fairness too, George Clooney happened to be friends with John Eric Hexum. And Brandon Lee. And I think one of his relatives was engaged to Brandon Lee, or there was some, or they were going to go to Brandon Lee's wedding. I mean,
Well, he said the Brandon Lee thing is what made him so vigilant about gun safety. And he also said when he was a kid, he was 5 years old and RFK was killed, and he took all his toy guns and brought them out of his bedroom and turned them into his dad, who had a variety show in Cincinnati, who brought them on the show the next night and said that his son had turned in all his toy guns in lieu of RFK's assassination, which is very unusual for a 5-year-old to do.
But then Clooney said that wasn't completely his intention. He didn't mean it to be permanent. So it's like that.
He thought his dad was going to give him back to him or something.
It didn't go according to plan.
Right.
But, yeah, it's one of those dumb kid choices.
Yeah. Well, his dad had he grew up in show business, Rosemary Clooney and his dad, who had a variety show and, blah, blah, blah. But the point of the matter is, at that point, he was saying that the AD was at fault, but that was a while back.
Thank you. You saved me. Miguel Ferrar.
Oh, Miguel Ferrar, right.
And that's Clooney's.
That's right. Thank you, Family Feast.
Clooney's cousin. So, yeah.
The riots are starting early tonight.
Mark is living a little close to some people that are going to react not well to a verdict today. I don't know. Have you heard, folks, that there's this other trial that happened and it just finished? It's a rather obscure one up in Wisconsin. But
well, somebody's going to the Badger game this weekend. So
okay, so now also we had not only George coming out, but we finally have heard from another Baldwin.
Oh, Daniel. Yes. He made some very, very bizarre statements. I have to read the statements from his interview because they're so out there. I mean, he said, remember, the actor's an idiot. They're there to do the acting. A number of protocols that have been made known to the public and known to the case exonerate Alex of any responsibility at all. He also added, Alec has no blame in this at all. He just kept repeating that over and over again, Eric, throughout the interview.
Yeah, but I'm kind of glad though, because it's like, it's his brother. Please come out for your brother. No matter what anybody thinks. I mean, it would be actually a lot more odd if he came out saying, you know what, when I was 6 years old, Alec pulled a gun and threatened me. That would be odd. But I'm actually a little bit relieved that his brother has come out and is vouching for it. Somebody, Gloria Allred is a female
binger. Yeah, that's not a, yeah. If she was ever a prosecutor, Katie barred the door. Yeah. But Alec said that Daniel said that Alec was being targeted because of Trump, and he blamed Trump for the entire affair. He blamed Trump for everything, and the article said it was his brother's politics, and went after him for his Saturday Night Live impersonation. It was revenge by Trump. I don't know if that's true or not, but somebody in the comments section of that article said, glad you got the check. Love, Alec. So I don't know.
Somebody has some humor, that's for sure. All right. So let's go ahead and we'll start talking about, should we go into the main topic, the script supervisor? I've got a little footage of her news conference with Allred, or do you want to
wait? Let's just get into before you play that. Let's get into the wording of the lawsuit a little bit, because it's really, first of all, I've got a copy of it here, and I was reading through it last night, and it sues every single person. I think the craft services guy is the only guy who escaped the wrath of Gloria Allred in this lawsuit. There are people in here I don't know if you could buy your way out or what the deal is, but she says that her client, the plaintiff, was severely injured without limitation to her health, strength, and activity, and sustained serious physical trauma and shock and injury to her nervous system and person. All of these injuries have caused and continue to cause the plaintiff extreme mental, physical, nervous pain and suffering. And I thought, well, that's possible. Could be.
Yeah.
Then she goes on mentioning the prop master. Remember, we were wondering who shot themselves in the foot in that accidental discharge?
Mm-hmm.
She says that the prop master accidentally shot herself in the foot. And maybe that's why Sarah Zachary came in to replace the prop master who may or may not have shot herself in the foot. That might answer one of these things. But on page 14 of the lawsuit, section 42, she says that what was being discussed in the church was 3 tight camera shots of Baldwin.
She talks about it in the conference. I was going to play that part.
Okay, well, she talks about it in the conference, but here's the thing. It was a shot of his wound, shot in his eyes, a blood stain, his shoulder, and here the last line on the page is, there was nothing in the script about gun being discharged by defendant Baldwin or by any other person. And then the following page, she said, had the script called for a firearm to be discharged, they would have gone outside or watched it on monitors. And she adds, none of these protocols and precautions have been taken since the script did not indicate that a firearm was to be discharged by defendant Baldwin or anyone else. Okay. And she says it over and over again. The bottom of 47, bottom page 15, section 47, because the script did not include the firing of a firearm by defendant Baldwin or by anyone else. She said that the plaintiff, unlike anything she had ever heard in her life, the sound of the gunshot, right? She feared for her life, experienced pain in her ears, Eric, and head, the entire head. Shortly thereafter, plaintiff began to hear loud ringing in her ears. Maybe you'd like to play that little. Maybe the 911 call at this point.
Well, I was going to play that after. That's why I was going to hear from her stating this, and then we'll
issues and other issues related to their working conditions. That morning, we shot scene 115 in the church with Alec, and then we blocked and rehearsed scene 118. We did 3 camera setups for scene 118 and broke for lunch. The camera setups to complete the scene in the afternoon were discussed between Joel, Halyna, and me. I was sitting at a table doing my lunch report, and Halyna walked by and flashed her gorgeous smile at me. I'm never going to forget that. She was
okay. So that's one part, and that's where she was talking about the shots, right?
Right.
And
but this is before. Oh, the shots that are coming up. Yeah, those 3 insert shots.
Right now,
the location of your emergency.
We need an ambulance out at Bonanza Creek Ranch right now. We've had 2 people shot on a movie set accidentally.
You said someone was shot?
2 people accidentally with gunshots on movie set, Bonanza Creek Ranch.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'll connect you with medical dispatcher. Don't hang up.
Who are you calling? Clear the road.
Santa Fe Fire and EMS, what's the location of the emergency?
Bonanza Creek Ranch. We've had 2 people accidentally shot on a movie set by a prop gun. We need help immediately. Bonanza Creek Ranch. Come on.
Stay on the phone with me. We're going to get some help, okay?
Okay.
What is your name?
Mamie Mitchell.
Miss Mitchell, what's the phone number you're calling from?
50.
I'm going to play just for another minute because she talks about something that's interesting.
Don't hang up, okay? Hold on just 1 second.
It sounds like somebody else is calling for 2 ambulances. You better make good. Everybody should be. We need some help. Our director and our cameraman, camerawoman has been shot. Are they going to take him to the road?
So was it loaded with a real bullet or one?
I cannot tell you that.
Okay.
We have 2 injuries from a movie gun shot.
Okay. We're getting them out there already. Just stay on the phone with me.
Okay. Okay. I just that yelled at me at lunch because asking about revisions. You seen him lean over my table and yell at me? He's supposed to check the guns. He's responsible for what happened in the company.
Now, Mimi?
No. I'm a script supervisor.
How many people are injured?
2 that I know of. I was sitting, we were rehearsing. And
Okay, so there's a few, I don't know, issues. And again, it could be seen multiple ways. First off, her ears are severely damaged and ringing, but she's doing good. She's holding up and able to communicate pretty well. I guess I don't know if she has a loud phone, but she's able to hear, communicate, facilitate. The calmness, maybe she's just rock solid nerves. Very, very steady, definite leader, amazing type. And the last one, and maybe, I don't know, maybe it's to distract herself from a very stressful situation, but why is she worried about, somebody yelling at her over lunch over revisions?
I have no idea, but she says the word accidentally 3 times, that it was accidental discharge. And in the lawsuit, Allred goes out of her way to say it was not an accident, the complete opposite of what the person said moments after the shooting. Plaintiff is informed and believes and thereon alleges that defendant Baldwin assaulted her by intentionally, not accidentally, intentionally acting without just cause when pointing and discharging a loaded gun towards her that was reasonably expected to result in injury to her and others. And then she repeats this over and over and over again.
And I want to address this at YN. Yes, being calm can be easily misunderstood. I got that. And I'm going to go both ways. I'm just saying that some of it is curious. It is interesting talking about Dave Hall's yelling at her over sides in the middle of this situation. So that's fine. And it could be completely legitimate. I'm not pointing out. It's just odd.
Right, but I'm saying if she can't hear and it was the loudest sound she's ever heard in her life, I don't know how you could make a phone call and talk so coherently in a phone call seconds later. You would be. Yeah. She's alleging in this lawsuit that she's essentially lost her hearing and everything else from which she has to employ. She now has to employ, because of this, medical treaters, including without limitation mental health workers for emotional and physical injuries. Plaintiff was severely injured without limitation. Her health, strength, and activity, and sustained serious physical trauma, shock, and injury to her nervous system and person, all of which injuries have caused and continue to cause plaintiff mental, physical, and nervous pain. Just getting back to the top of page 20, the script for the upcoming scene did not call for the discharge of the gun. This is the 4th time this is in the lawsuit. We're going to address that next. That's why I keep emphasizing.
Oh, yes, definitely.
That she's emphatically saying.
Very specific.
But repeated over and over again throughout the lawsuit that the scenes that afternoon that were coming up, these 3 scenes that she's referring to are quick pickup shots right after lunch. That's what that in the vernacular of filmmaking, these many times would be done by even a second unit crew. But because the camera crew walked off, I presume they're trying to get these 3 quick shots, one of Baldwin's wound, another one of his eyes, and another one of his hand. Those are insert shots. Sometimes they're done in post-productions. A lot of times they're done by second unit. It's a low-budget film, so they're trying to bang them out and then get back to the situation at hand, which is the rest of the afternoon. And she keeps saying throughout the lawsuit that Baldwin intentionally shot her. That's why I mentioned that accidentally versus.
Oh, by the way, her and Tim Pohl Did you see the interview with Tim Pool or that
Yeah.
show that Tim Pool did?
Yep.
Tim Pool's all right. I mean, I like some of Tim Pool, but honestly, that particular episode was almost reckless in my mind. He
took the lawsuit verbatim and just said these are the facts of the case, her lawsuit. That's what I gathered from it, because he was reading from the lawsuit and saying, here it is, here's the facts. Like she was the DA or something. You know, like
Right.
Gloria Allred was printing the facts of the and not enhancing it. It was kind of crazy by Tim.
And that's what bothers me about it. Like, okay, I know she repeats over and over and over in it, and obviously Gloria Allred has a hand in writing the lawsuit. These are the facts that we have to drive. So repeat them over and over and over. But yeah, while we're challenging some things, we're just asking questions. We're not saying, oh, we don't like Alec, so bang, 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 or we do like Alec. And I can't stand the, all the team stuff. It's like, oh, we don't like Alec, so it's automatically Alec is wrong. It's like I'd like to know what happened, and hopefully we can get to it. You actually obtained something that I haven't seen anybody else have.
Oh my, we have more documents. This is crazy.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. And I think in common vernacular, they break down little parts of the script and they call them sides, right?
Well, that's during the shooting. This is the actual script. I just pulled out some stuff for us to just read through during the day, during the actual shoot. First, there's two things. One is what the script supervisor is talking about is an actual shooting script, because she's reading off the numbers of the scenes. I think she referred to 115 or 116, which are probably the next two scenes that are going to be shot, those insert shots. And she's operating with a shooting script. I'm not operating with a shooting script. And it's not even, the shooting script is the only real thing that matters in terms of shooting. This is the script that raised the money. This is the script that everybody was operating from. But the shooting script is far more detailed, not in detail, but just in numbers of scene and the breakdown. Right. So I'm just using the script as it is. And where she says the afternoon begins, and where she says there will be no shooting, in the script, you might see it a different way than the way she's describing it. It seems like she's limiting the rest of the day to those three insert shots. This is a 21-day shoot, and if that's the second half of the day, they're never going to finish this movie, because those three shots are like three pickup shots. And what she's trying to say is that she shouldn't have been or wouldn't have been in that church if the shooting was about to happen. That she was only in there because of three insert shots, and it's a little disingenuous, but true. It's a little disingenuous because it's a film that's shooting 5 to 6 pages, maybe 7 pages a day. When you do a low budget film, you're shooting a lot of pages. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, well, it's a 120-page script.
Well, it's 112 to be honest, but
okay.
The script itself, to get through in a 21-day, if you just do the math of 100 pages, 21 days, I mean, think you got to do 5 to 7 pages a day. And that's where the AD comes in. And the AD Halls is saying every day we got to make the day, meaning making the day means we got to shoot 7 pages or whatever the amount they need mathematically to get through, quote unquote, their day. So he's, not to defend him, but just in general, his guy himself, that job is ripping his hair out trying to make the day. So this thing, the 3 shots would normally, like I said, be 3 insert shots, and they're trying to bang them out really quick. And then I believe just roll into this next scene, which will be inside and outside for the rest of the afternoon, which is a pretty big scene in the movie.
I want to show one thing too. This shows why Alec was getting less money.
Oh, that right, it's his company, El Dorado, and also that he's also got a story by credit. But if you look at it's his company, El Dorado, on the bottom left, that initiated the project. So it was a story that Alec came up with. Joel then added to it, got a co-story by credit, and then wrote the whole script. And that's how he, I think, gets the $221,000. Probably gets 120 for directing and 100 for the script, or some combination of event like that. but the co-story by credit indicates that Alec created the project, and El Dorado indicates that his company, it's not a vanity production. In other words, they actually created this project, which originally we didn't know that. Originally we thought he just came on board and was using it as a tax shelter. And in fact, they're the creators of the project, and so is he, and that's why he's a co-producer on it.
Okay, and somebody just wrote only 113 pages script. That's pretty normal, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, oh yeah,
yeah.
120 is considered long. Yeah,
yeah. It breaks down to about a minute a page on average.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Like if you look at older scripts in the 1940s, those scripts were 200 pages long because they spoke in a machine gun rat-tat-tat style. If you look at Casablanca or the gangster pictures, you know, a page was really so fast, went by so quickly that a 200-page script ended up being a 90-minute film. And think about that. I mean, that's you know, the Edward G. Robinson film.
And they have the voice, and they talk like that. And how are you doing? And there's news.
Well, it adds up, though. I mean, it's a machine gun, but that's how people spoke.
You know, a good place to see that, if you want a modern equivalent of that, Empire Strikes Back has that dialogue style of the 30s and 40s in a modern day deal. It's really fascinating. And the screenwriter on that, I know, wrote like in 40s movies,
right?
So I don't know, it's just an interesting reference.
Well, no, I'm just saying those the pages that you know, for 112-page script, 130-page script, that's about average for today. They want it even shorter. I mean, if you go 120, they'll kill you. You know, that's 2 hours on the page, and that's, you know, that's not what they want. They want a 90-minute film. You know, and it used to be that VHS tapes only had 90 minutes worth of tape on the VHS. And that was the excuse back in the old days. Like when you released the film on VHS, the tape itself, the blank, had 90 minutes, and they were they were
120.
What's that?
I thought they were 120, and that was a hard limit.
No, that's a blank to rent. You know, to a blank for you to buy. But I'm saying the blanks that they were transferring the movie on all had just 90 minutes of tape on them. So the movies were always 89 minutes if you take a look at it, the old VHSs. But to buy a recording tape, or one you would record, you could buy a 2-hour tape. Right. Those were 120 minutes.
Okay, so let's take a look at this. Now, this is the scene that we're speculating, correct?
Right. I think it's on the middle of 95 is where I wanted to start. Yeah, right. Exterior town, New Mexico day. That's where we're going to start. We're going to do about 3 minutes of this movie, me and you, Eric. We're going to do like a table read. And the table read is you're going to be the narrator, and I'll just read the various dialogue of the different characters. I think there's about 4 or 5 characters, and I'll explain who they are once we get to each one of them. And if you do the narration, I think the audience might be able to understand where we are in this movie, because we're on page 95. So keep in mind where we are in the lawsuit, keep in mind where we are in the movie, keep in mind where we are in the tragic death of the cinematographer, and keep in mind also that this is a 21-day shoot, and they've been working like dogs out in the desert doing this for a number of days, trying to make, you know, depending on how far behind or ahead they were, it could be anywhere from 7 to 9 pages a day that they're trying to rip through, which is insane. In the old days, in the indie days, Eric's motivation is to read the description as best he can.
Yeah, I get the best.
I am going to be the marshal, so I've got my badge here, and you'll see this. Also have my shotgun shells somewhere on me and my bandana. This is our America's Untold Stories Western edition.
That's right, and everybody can read along.
This is Western edition, in case you're wondering why I'm dressed like this. Eric couldn't find a cowboy hat, otherwise he would have been doing it. But we tried to give a little ambiance to the reading, you know, give a little excitement to the script, so we don't just, you know, bludgeon it to death like amateurs. You know?
Oh, I guarantee it will be an
I guarantee
production from my end.
Yeah, this is like one of those stunts on the old Tonight Show that goes awry. you know, where the monkey climbs on top of Johnny Carson's face and starts humping him. You just got a feeling this can't possibly go well, Eric.
We're gonna get the memers going to town here. So.
Okay,
Ready to roll?
Yeah, I'm ready. Go ahead. Why don't you just go with that? Read what the scene description and everything.
Exterior town, New Mexico, day. Rust and Lucas ride into the nearly deserted town of Mosquero. A handful of ramshackle, sun-bleached buildings scattered among the unrelenting wind. As they amble through town, we move in behind a figure, watching from the shadows of an old porch up the road. It's Wood, sitting in a rocking chair. Been here since yesterday. Bess watching behind them.
Bass Parker, I'll just say, is a U.S. Marshal. It says Bass. His full name is Bass Parker. He's a U.S. Marshal. And he says, this them?
Wood quiet, intent. Rust passing across the street.
Wood Helm is another U.S. Marshal. That's Harlan Rust. And then Bass says, Christ's sake, look at him.
Rust manages to stop the Pinto, sweating, pale, nearly falls off. Lucas helping him down, takes his weight, looking around, walks him over to the Clapboard Church. Lucas struggling under Rust's weight.
Lucas is 13-year-old Lucas Hollister, who is the boy in the film that has ended up with Rust, and he's trying to help Rust. Come on, we're going in here.
Interior church, same. Lucas hauls Rust in. They collapse in a pew. Lucas propping him back up. Rust groaning in pain, breath labored.
I'm going to find some help. And then Rust says, don't need no damn help. And then Lucas says, we're going to die if I don't.
Blood already pooling under a pew.
And Lucas says, I'll go find someone. Just wait here.
Exterior town, same. Lucas comes out, goes looking for help. Wood and Bass joined out on the porch. Now by the LaFontaines and Reed and Miller, checking weapons, tying down holsters.
Boone, you and Cleet go collect the boy.
They nod, head after Lucas. Wood focused on the church.
Me and Bass will go in the back. Dick, you and Jack wait at them doors out front till I tell you to come.
Reed and Miller exchange a look.
You wait. You hear me? Injured animal, cornered like he is. There's no telling how that cat's going to jump. Dick Miller. Yeah, I got it.
Finishes loading up a Colt.
This son of a bitch Twitch is funny. I'm going to send him to hell.
They head across the street. Lucas runs from building to building, trying doors, peering in windows. A general store now abandoned.
Hello. Anyone in there?
Notices the LaFontaines headed his way, heads for another building, looks back. Boone and Cleet following. Lucas picking up the pace, suddenly bolts.
Hollister, you stop right there.
Running after him now. Lucas ducks between buildings, scrambling around the back. An old livery. Interior church, same. A door opens quietly. Wood and Bass enter. Colts level. Rust in a pew up ahead. Back to them. Wood and Bass fanning out.
Harlan Rust.
He doesn't answer. Doesn't move. Nothing.
Want you to stand up nice and slow and toss any weapons you got.
Rust still. Hand moving almost unnoticeably. Slips a Colt from its holster. Wood advancing slowly.
Jack.
Reed and Miller come in the front. Rifles up. Fanning slowly.
Ain't no iteration. You walk out of this church less than you stand up slow and toss them guns.
Rust Colt cocked quietly now. Interior livery, same. A shotgun pokes through the door. Boone behind it. Cleet with a pistol. Livery quiet. Abandoned.
That's Boone LaFontaine. Show yourself now, boy.
Lucas is huddled in a stall. Hears them coming. Nowhere to go.
Ain't but one way in or out. We know you're in here.
Lucas bolts, knocks some old crates over to Boone. Cleet reeling him in.
That's his brother, Cleet LaFontaine. They're both pig farmers, by the way. Hey, easy now.
Lucas fighting him. Cleet laughing as Boone picks himself up.
Right, you got it, didn't he? You shut the fuck up.
Exterior livery, same. They haul Lucas out.
Please. He's going to die. You got to help him.
Boom. Shotgun. Blows Cleet off his feet. Fenton Lang coming with a Remington.
That's Fenton Lang. He's from Tennessee. He's a friend of Russ. That boy's mine.
Second barrel now. Boom. Boone scrambling. Liberty door blown apart. Lucas shaking loose. Goes running. Interior church. Same. Wood and his men spin. All Rust needs. Colts exploding. Shredding the pew in front of him. Miller scrambling. Reed's shoulder blown to scrap. Goes down. Gun discharging. Wood and Bass firing now as Rust hits the floor. Rolling under pews. Out the other side. Staggering up. Colts barking. Chasing Wood and Bass behind cover. Rust moving backwards. Unrelenting fire. Makes it out a door. Seems like guns are going to be used at some point.
Thank you. That was another edition of America's Untold Stories, Mercury Theater on the air. Yeah, the last part says it all. The shredding, the pew, the front, the Miller scrambling, gun discharging. That's the scene that's coming up that afternoon. Very nicely done, Eric.
Oh, thank you. And I agree. I hope nobody gets hurt during this meeting.
that kind of went pretty well. I don't know.
I probably should have read it ahead of time. I'm sitting there going, wait, literally, tongue twisting.
I played 5 characters in the same voice. What could have gone wrong? I played a 13-year-old boy as a 50-year-old man. Anyway, the point of the matter is what you're seeing here is the fact that afternoon, after those 3 shots, Mountain Dew Comanche, the afternoon is going to be filled with a lot of gunfire, despite what Gloria Allred has indicated in her lawsuit. And that's why I wanted to read the script. And
again, it's a contradiction.
It's a contradiction. That's really what
our whole little silly performance and all that is just, like everything else, we keep finding things and we're just sharing what we find.
Yeah, this is an interesting find to actually have the script and to have the lawsuit and to have earlier on the budget. We could kind of connect the dots or start to connect some of these dots, right, Eric?
That's the goal.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of stuff swirling around this. This is, I don't know how Gloria Allred wants to proceed on this. I mean, she is suing so many different independent people and independent companies. In other words, she's suing Reed, who is just an independent young lady at the age of 24 who is making $2,000 a week on this film for 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
When you work freelance like Reed does, let's say, she might not work for months. I mean, if none of this even happened, she may get the $2,000 a week and have to hunker down and not work a job for a couple of months and have to live off that. I don't know what Allred expects to get out of her financially. I don't know what Allred expects to get out of a low budget prop master.
I think it's not a matter of getting her financially. Mm-hmm. It's getting a ruling against her so she can leverage it to everybody else, saying, look, this person is, if not convicted or whatever, it's part of your irresponsibility hiring this hack who I've beat. And that's so what I think is
just so you know, her MO, just not like the Surge guy who filed lawsuit. Her MO is to drum up enough public outrage as to shake down these people in advance, because it takes 5 years for this case to go to court. 5 years. She's not looking at 5 years. She's trying to have a press conference and shake people down for money. And I'm wondering, what money is she going to shake down Hannah Reed so Hannah Reed could get out of this lawsuit? Each individual person that she's shaking down for money here it does not have deep pockets, other than Baldwin, whose name she mentions repeatedly in the lawsuit. But she sues every entity, she sues every company, which is fine.
Right.
But these individual suits against these individual freelance workers.
Well, she's trying to get Baldwin. I mean, she's really trying to hammer in. I'm going to play this a little bit more because remember her statement, because a couple things stood out. So I want to finish out the last bit if I can.
Okay.
I'm never going to forget that. She was a great collaborator on the set and my new friend. She was pure light. She just had beautiful energy. After lunch, I went inside the church with members of the crew to get ready for the camera setup that we had discussed before lunch. I saw Alec going through his movement with the gun for the camera.
Now, that's what I wanted everybody to hear. Going through his movement with the gun for the camera.
Right.
What did she say over and over in the lawsuit?
That there was no gun shooting in the next scenes.
why would he be going through the movement with his gun for the camera?
Right.
It's
a contradiction. It's clearly
and this is her. This is her saying it. So
well, she's telling the truth. I mean, she's the one who.
I don't doubt that, but I'm saying that the lawsuit and what they're claiming is no gun. And I'll go and just finish it out.
Right.
I was holding my script in my left hand and had taken out my iPhone and opened up my photos to check the continuity on his shirt and vest. Then an explosion. Deafening, loud gunshot. I was stunned.
Deafening.
I heard someone moaning, and I turned around, and my director was falling backwards and holding his upper body. And I turned around toward Alec, and I saw Halyna going down to the left of me.
Just so you know, her statement that it's my director and my thing is completely inaccurate. She's a freelancer who's worked on 100 films. It's not her director. Technically, she's working as a gun for hire. And I don't want to use the word gun for hire, but that's what freelancers are.
On that film, though, technically, they filled that role. If you're looking at Chain of Command, though, right? I mean,
right. No.
While there's, it's my director.
Right. My director, that she's had 100 my directors. Okay.
Okay. Sure.
She's never worked with this cinematographer in her life. Just keep that in mind.
Right.
This is not a traveling road show. People have to understand who these people are. This is a freelance group that's been together for 12 days.
Oh, yeah.
They don't know each other. That's bullshit.
That's
bullshit, bro.
I got
the
that.
camera crew knows each other. There's crews that know each other. There's certain keys and seconds who know each other. But this is a renegade group of other than the group from Georgia that comes in, Pickle and the UPM who come in from Georgia from that company. These people are individually hired. They may know each other from 5 films ago. They may know each other from something, in a movie that they did. But essentially, each film has its own freelance people, especially in this world with a 21-day shoot. I'm sure not everybody was jumping on this particular bandwagon.
Yes, I know. I agree. But I think that her statement, though, about his gun and going through the movements directly contradicts the whole, there was no reason for him to have a gun. There was no gun involved, blah, 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 blah.
Right. But like we said in the script, that's what's coming up next.
Right.
That's why I read that, because after they're
done, he's wounded. She checked his wounds, which confirms that's the
right. They're going to do 3 quick insert shots that she is disingenuously saying or implying is what's coming up next, which is true. But that's going to take 5 minutes to get those shots, or half an hour at most, so they can move on to the scene that you read wonderfully as a non-union actor. And you marvelously performed to indicate the massive nature of the gunplay that's coming up that afternoon. And the reason he's so fanatical about the gun, in my humble opinion, is it's a big deal. It's a big scene. It's the final scene of the film, which is why we read it. That's the big shootout scene on page 95, 100 of this film. And it goes on. This scene goes on after
I'm
that.
not going to torture everybody.
right. And I've run out of accents at that point. So the movie had to stop for us personally, because there was nowhere for us to go creatively or artistically.
I'm just thankful that the numbers didn't go down. I'm like, well, let me take a note of the count of watchers, and then
we're losing subscribers as the show goes on. I've never seen that happen in real life, Eric. But you could take this badge off of me, but I'm still going to be a marshal. You could take it off, but it's not going to change anything. But anyway, the plot of the movie is the kid killed someone and he's on the run, and the Baldwin character is protecting him from being hung at the age of 13 for something he didn't or did do. I'm not really sure. And
here's a point in the chat. They're saying that it's also to go after dad's money.
Which dad?
Dad. If she inherits her dad's money, perhaps there's a
okay. So at best, she gets a judgment against her, right? It's theoretically possible. I mean, if that's what you want to do, you could get a judgment against her, and you can get a judgment against all these people. But I'm saying that's not Allred's game.
No,
Allred historically
shaking Alec Baldwin down. That's what she kept naming.
Right. That's not what Allred's in bed in this game for. The other guy, Serge, the gaffer, looks like he's in for the long haul, which may take 5 years. Every single person in this town has to wait 5 years for a payout in LA. I'm sorry. I thought it was 2 when I got involved in one, but that's in New York. Out here, it's 5. So, they call you up the night before the trial and you meet them at the door of the courthouse and they all say, we're going to go to trial. They never go to trial. I think 92% are settled.
And yes,
Her daddy isn't dead yet, and he can change the will.
Sure.
Good point. Good point. Her dad is changing the will right now after this episode because he's one of our biggest supporters. The dad is obviously changing the will.
Oh, the check cleared? No.
Yeah, the check cleared. Yeah, and Daniel Baldwin is, of course, getting more press releases as the day goes on. So we'll see what he comes out with. Yeah, I mean, Clooney, he said he didn't know Alec Baldwin, but he was explaining that how he handles a gun. And I said that to you about Jeffrey Wright, how he does the same thing. And not everybody does that. I've talked to some other A-list guys who also sheepishly or not sheepishly say they trust the person who's giving them the gun, but they check it once during the day when the day starts. They don't check it every single time, you know, because you're giving the gun back and then maybe another scene later for another shootout or another gun incident or whatever. But what Daniel Baldwin is saying is that actors are idiots and they can't be expected to do anything like this. If you read between the lines of what Daniel Baldwin is saying, is he's saying that actors are merely props themselves.
He's saying Hitchcock.
Yeah, he's saying
actors
Hitchcock.
are like tables and chairs in a restaurant. You move them around to make it look nice.
Right. And I kind of said that in a mild defense of Baldwin, that that's kind of what I've heard, not about him in particular, but most actors, stars, can't be bothered with this because they've got so much on their mind about the scene coming up. It's just a lot to ask. And most of them trust the person who's handing them the gun. Is that insane? I don't know. It's just the way it is on movies. It's been that way for a long time. You know, like we indicated a couple episodes ago, they used to use live ammunition in the 30s. So, you know, I said there's been advances since the Cagney days of using live machine guns. Is it a perfect world? No. But if you look back, when was the last incident where somebody got killed, Eric?
Brandon Lee. I mean,
right. What year was that? 1993?
It's mid-90s somewhere.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a long run of a lot of movies and a lot of shooting. And to be perfectly fair, the safety record is almost impeccable.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's insane how safe they really are. You know, maybe they let their guard down on this film and it's a confluence of fuck-ups, which it seems to be, unless it's the dots that we indicated in episode 3.
There are a lot. Okay. There are a lot of dots. I will say that. And the problem is that trying to track that down, like somebody said, are we going to get into the whole Clinton connection? All that. It's like, I don't know all the Clinton connection. I know
the trails go cold for periods of time. I mean, it doesn't mean like in our schedule that we can resolve this like on a weekly TV show, you know, that we're going to solve this mystery each week. I'm sorry. But, you know, like Tim Pool said, you know, he was saying that Baldwin intentionally killed her. He just kept saying it over and over again.
I
think it was crazy last night.
It was horribly irresponsible. It's like
I was cringing listening to him.
He would say it, and then you would roll off of it, and you say, "But if I wouldn't be on the jury, or I would not." And I'm like, he was all over the map. I've never heard
that was irresponsible. That was really crazy.
I've never heard him go off the rails like that, though, to where it was just so inconsistent. It was like he was like having a conversation with himself and 2 other people.
Right.
It was very weird. Very weird.
The Binger weaponization of the AR-15 in the courtroom was everybody mentioned Alec Baldwin this week with different memes and cartoons and videos, you know, in terms of the finger on the trigger or the Binger finger and whatever else was going on. That was a crazy stunt that he pulled in there.
And then and of course there's a ton of jokes with that. I'm not going to go into that because
right.
Well,
but I mean, Baldwin, you know, with his PR firm, I don't know where this goes now because the Gloria Allred suit has taken a lot of oxygen out of this room. Don't forget, we still have the husband of the cinematographer, Matthew Hutchins, who says he's suing everyone in sight also. And that suit hasn't dropped yet. I assume.
Oh, well, that's the big suit. I mean, and
that's
by the way,
going to come in next week's episode for us. I think that's going to be the big suit of him and how he handles it, because she's a grenade. She's launching grenades.
Yeah, well, and that's the suit. You know, she's probably pissed off that she couldn't get him as a client.
Right. Well, there could be these cross suits with individuals suing each other, like Hall's suing the prop master, or the prop master suing the armorer, or the armorer suing Hall's. There may be individual sniping, and let's not forget the criminal case, which we're still waiting on the DNA return report from Quantico, Virginia, from the FBI. What happened to that
Also,
report?
there's supposed to be film that they have.
There may or may not be some cell phone video, you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know. There's supposed to be footage. Don't know if it's from a phone. I don't know if it's from a monitor. I mean, video has gotten so cheap. I wouldn't be surprised, especially with continuity and things like that, that why wouldn't you have something on the side, constantly monitoring or recording throughout the day, have it drop into a hard drive, and just,
except for the one point that they took their cameras with them, which is why they're in that position in the barn in the first place with that Steadicam. They don't have the other cameras, and I think they don't have the monitors, which is why she keeps saying that she should have been outside looking at the monitors. But I don't think there are any monitors at this point, because these guys took their camera equipment and left. Don't forget, they came in the morning, the crew took everything, and Pickle was screaming at them that she was going to have them arrested if they didn't get off the set fast enough with their equipment.
Right. And also it's a Steadicam. So where are you going to put equipment? You can't have a lot of things around it. It's very mobile.
The shootout is going to be a Steadicam, but those pickup shots that they're doing would normally not be done with a Steadicam. That Steadicam is being readied for that shootout.
Exactly, which is more proof of why
I think they're stealing these shots, quote unquote, because they don't have another camera, they don't have monitors, and she's in there. What she's doing is she's looking at her phone for continuity from before lunch, that she took some stills to see the wounds on Baldwin and match them up. They used to take Polaroid snapshots. I guess they just do it digitally now on their phone.
Why not?
Right. I guess it's just as good. But for her, as the script supervisor, she's concerned with the continuity of where the blood might be on the shirt or whatever it is that she's looking for. And she claims to have been startled. Again, if she's traumatized, she's traumatized, and they could seize those therapy records in court like they've now done with Kobe Bryant's wife. The city of LA has now subpoenaed her records because she says she was traumatized and over the release by the sheriff's department of the crash site scene of the death of Kobe Bryant. And she's demanding millions and millions of dollars from the city of Los Angeles. So the city of Los Angeles said, good, give us the records from your therapy, which is now legal. You have to sign a release when you get into therapy in LA.
Well, because you're making a claim on that. And it's only a partial release. It's only related specifically to that. Are you being treated for this particular thing?
Right. So
other things you talk about, like your mother's, your relationship with your mother would not be part of the record. And that would be, I think, excised out.
Right. So the question is, she's been in therapy for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month, right? And related to this, according to Allred, well,
as long as the suit takes, she'll have 5 years of therapy to put
right. But she's saying now, in other words, when they look at the records, they're going to look at yesterday from when she signed up for therapy to yesterday. It's not 5 years from now. What's going to happen? It's the day of the lawsuit. She's saying that the therapy she's in now, and I think she lives in New Mexico, by the way, the script supervisor, although Allred is here. So it's a therapist in New Mexico, which may be, who knows how they operate.
Well, the supervisor was here or was there with you at one point because they were together in that press conference.
Right. She came for that event to Beverly Hills. That was just for that. But in the lawsuit, it says she lives in New Mexico.
Okay, makes sense. I mean,
I think Zachary also lived. Remember, I told you also, I think Zachary lives here. It says in the lawsuit that she's a resident of LA and not that girl who.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So we may have to find another Sarah Zachary in LA. Unless she just moved there.
I'm going to stick with it for now.
You're going to stick with her?
Yeah, for now.
Okay.
Why not?
Well, the other defendants are the Rust Movie Production, Thomasville Pictures, Smith and Cheney. Those two guys are named in there. Obviously, those are obvious choices, and these saying the cost cutting led to this, which is fine, except there's 50 people named in the suit. They all didn't do cost cutting, Eric. The caterer didn't do it.
Well, if you're gonna shoot at everybody and hope that something sticks,
right?
I think that's really the goal. Okay, so I guess that wraps up this round, right? we have any more to cover on it? Because I mean, kind of waiting for more news to come in.
Right. Well, we're going to wait for the husband's lawsuit, I guess, and
that may not be next week. It might be a couple weeks, but don't worry, we have content coming.
Yeah,
in the interim.
We have a lot of stuff. We've got a special edition on Monday for the JFK anniversary of the assassination. That's going to be really in the weeds. So I hope you can take some notes, because
it's the untold story.
It's
Remember
the
the name of the show.
Story of the JFK.
But it is very much tied into it. But it's something you
it's
never
part of
heard.
it. It's definitely part of it. But nobody ever
Nobody's ever
talks
heard
about it. So I wanted to just drill into the weeds on this one area of the assassination and not go off the tracks into these other areas. I'm trying to focus on Monday on one particular part of the assassination, because it's simply too broad. You know, if the viewers start clamoring about who did it, who did that, that's not the point of this show.
No,
this is not about anything other than the particular episode we're going to be talking about. I'm trying to carve out. I mean, later on we're going to do a 3-part on Oswald separately,
which will be covered.
Which will be separate. But this is
much.
about a particular situation inside of the assassination folklore and real law and killing that very few people have examined as closely as others and myself. So that's going to be interesting. And so tune in Monday. And then after that, I think we've got Lord Buckley coming up, right, Eric?
Yeah, we saw Lord Buckley. We have Saban.
We got Salk and Saban, the race for the cure for polio. We've got America's Street Games coming up.
And we may have something
Christmas edition.
Yes, and we may have something tying Sirhan with Rittenhouse. We don't know yet, but
that's right. I forgot about that. That might be a big
niggle.
Yeah,
niggle.
We're definitely going to do something with the Sirhan parole.
We are. Yes.
Announcement, because I am involved in that physically. So I have the transcripts of the parole hearing now from the parole board, which is nice because I'm in it, which is always nice. And Eric, if you could tell us how they can support us, tell these people at home.
Of course. Well, best place to go right now to get more content. So if we may be releasing things that are a little too salacious or a little too risky on YouTube, go to unstructured.locals.com. And right now until December 1st, I'm keeping it at the $3 a month or $30 a year.
What?
December 1st, it's going to go up to the full $5.
Inflation?
And yes, everything else is going up. It's a supply chain problem.
It's a supply chain problem, Eric?
Absolutely. Yeah, yes,
that's outrageous.
I know. You can't buy it on the shelf. I can't keep stocking it.
Okay, well, you can reach me at Lord Buckley on Twitter. There's a
buy his book.
Buy the book, Rehab Nation. I think it's $3. If you can't afford this book, steal the book, as Abby Hoffman said.
There you go.
Care less.
There you go.
Steal this book. I don't know how you get it. You know what? You could buy it on Amazon and then read it and refund the money, your $3, and use it to feed your child who's probably starving due to supply chain problems down in Long Beach. You can PayPal me for the book fund so I can buy more books to give you this information. The books are made of paper, and that costs a lot of money. Eric can be reached down there. And there's also a bunch of articles and stuff and videos that I've written. You may want to take a look at them.
Some of them are going to be popping up on Locals.
Right. That's what I thought. Okay, cool.
So,
cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot of weird stuff
really
down
a
there.
good spot. And that gives you not only this show, but all the Eric Hunley content where, I mean, I have people like Tom O'Neill talking about Charles Manson, the Chaos case. I have Sam Victim. There's a lot out there. An exclusive show with Nate the Lawyer that we do every Sunday, just about, and much more. So
I heard Nate, he legally changed his last name to The Lawyer.
Yes, we have Andrew Esquire.
Right. Those are their last names now.
Yeah, well, I mean, Esquire is a good last name for a lawyer, right?
Right.
And it's like it just saves time. So he's Andrew Esquire. Right. I don't know. It's like a little redundant, sir.
Right.
And check us out. Until next time, folks. See ya.